The first signal came without warning, like a whisper in the void. Ships from the Galactic Union had been exploring the outer rims of the Hellion sector for years, mapping star systems and monitoring primitive civilizations. But nothing had prepared them for what they found in the uncharted shadows beyond the Persei belt. The scanners detected a human vessel, but it was unlike any ship in Union records. Its design was crude, almost primitive, yet the energy signature was impossibly strong, radiating power that rivaled entire fleets. Commander Rylith stared at the readings in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered. "Humans are supposed to be confined to their sector. They are barely capable of interstellar travel, let alone generating energy at this scale." Her crew exchanged nervous glances, but Rylith didn't wait for answers. She ordered the fleet to approach cautiously. As the human ship came into visual range, the Union pilots froze. The hull was sleek but scarred, as if it had endured countless battles. There was no visible weaponry, yet the force field around it shimmered with a kind of energy that made even veteran engineers uneasy. Rylith's voice was steady but quiet. "Scan every system. I want to know what we're dealing with." The scanners hummed, filling the command deck with static and data streams. Then a message appeared, simple, direct, in an old human language no translator could decode fully. It read only, "You are not ready." The fleet paused. No one had ever received a message like this. It carried a weight, a warning, and an unspoken threat. Rylith felt a chill. Humanity was not supposed to send warnings like this to galactic powers. Humans were seen as insignificant, a species struggling to survive on a backwater planet. Yet here was proof that everything the Union believed was wrong. Rylith ordered a closer approach. The human ship did not retreat. It held its course, gliding effortlessly through the void as if space itself obeyed its commands. Sensors began picking up strange anomalies, gravitational waves twisting unnaturally around the vessel, electromagnetic pulses that interfered with Union communications, and a faint but distinct biological signature that suggested the crew, if they were even crew, were not just human, but something more. Something evolved. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the human ship, Captain Elena Voss monitored the approaching fleet. She had expected curiosity, maybe even aggression, but not hesitation. The Galactic Union rarely paused when encountering new civilizations, they either conquered or ignored. Elena didn't underestimate them. Humanity had hidden, adapted, and evolved for centuries, keeping secrets that could change the galaxy forever. And now, the time had come for the Union to witness it. Back on the Union flagship, a young officer, barely out of the academy, whispered, "Commander, why are they not attacking? Why haven't they destroyed us yet?" Rylith didn't answer. She knew the truth that no one else could see yet. Humans were waiting, and humans were dangerous, far beyond what any galactic history book had ever recorded. Suddenly, the human ship emitted a pulse that rippled across space. The fleet's shields flickered, and all communications went dead for several heartbeats. Panic rose among the crew, but Rylith held firm. "Keep formation," she ordered. "We don't know what we're dealing with yet." But even she felt the tension squeeze her chest. This was more than a test. The humans were showing power that no one could ignore. As the seconds stretched into minutes, subtle movements of the human vessel became noticeable. It split into multiple images, not physically, but visually, like a shimmer of illusions. Every attempt to lock onto a target failed. Rylith realized something impossible. The ship was bending reality itself. "Admiral," one officer said, voice trembling. "They are manipulating space-time around them. Our sensors can't keep up." Rylith nodded grimly. Humanity had not only survived in obscurity, but it had also learned to master forces the Union barely understood. Her mind raced, considering the implications. If humans could wield such power, the entire balance of the galaxy could shift in an instant. On the human ship, Elena smiled faintly. This was only the beginning. The Galactic Union had gone too far, assuming humans were weak. Soon, they would see the truth. Soon, they would understand why humanity had remained hidden for so long. And by then, it would be too late for anyone to stop what was coming. The fleet hovered, uncertain, caught between fear and fascination. The void around them felt alive, charged with a tension no one could explain. Every officer knew that history was about to change, and the first chapter had already begun, written by humans, in a language the galaxy had never heard. And deep in the shadows, the human ship waited, silent, patient, ready to reveal a secret that would make the stars themselves tremble. The Galactic Union fleet hovered in silence, unsure how to respond. Their instruments screamed with impossible readings, yet the human ship remained calm, almost indifferent. Commander Rylith felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Every decision now could change the future of the galaxy. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Elena Voss moved with quiet precision. Her crew mirrored her calm, their eyes sharp, alert, yet without panic. This was not a battle. They were making a statement. Humans had waited centuries for this moment. The galaxy thought they were insignificant, fragile, and unprepared, but Elena knew differently. The humans were ready. The Union fleet's chief scientist, a wiry alien named Kthar, finally broke the silence. Commander, their technology, it's manipulating dimensions. Not just energy but matter itself. They are not in our reality the way we are in theirs. His tentacles trembled as he spoke. We've never seen anything like this. Rylith swallowed hard. Her training told her to remain logical, to assess, to strategize, but even she could not deny the truth. Humans were not what the Union expected. Their power was not brute force, it was subtle, intelligent, and terrifyingly precise. Suddenly, the human ship pulsed again. This time, it was not just energy, it was a signal, a wave of pressure that pressed on the minds of everyone in the fleet. Memories flickered, feelings of doubt and fear seeped into their thoughts, and some officers swore they saw fleeting visions of worlds they had never visited. "What is this?" an officer shouted, clutching his head. Rylith's voice was calm, almost too calm. "It's a test. Focus on your duties. Trust your training. Nothing more." But even as she said it, a tiny seed of fear grew in her chest. The humans were showing them that they could control more than technology. They could control perception, reality, even thought itself. Meanwhile, Elena observed from her console, eyes scanning the fleet. She had expected hesitation, and she saw it reflected in the trembling hands and uncertain gazes of the Union officers. But she had to be careful. Humans had power, yes, but arrogance could be dangerous. This was a demonstration, a warning, not a war. The Union fleet tried to respond, firing a test volley of plasma bolts. The human ship did not move in the way they expected. Instead, the shots seemed to pass through it, bending and breaking mid-air as if reality itself rejected them. The fleet froze again, realizing that no conventional attack would work. Rylith's mind raced. "Recall all attack protocols. Begin non-lethal containment measures," she ordered. "We need to communicate. If we fail, it could be catastrophic." A tense silence followed. No one dared move faster than the human ship allowed. The very act of breathing felt heavy, like walking underwater. Every officer, alien or human, could feel the weight of something ancient, something far beyond their comprehension. And then, a new signal appeared on the fleet's main screens. This time, it was more than words, it was a vision. The screens flickered, and suddenly the officers saw images of Earth. Cities shined like jewels under starlight, vast oceans teeming with life, and forests so dense that they seemed to breathe. But it was not only beauty, it was power. Humanity had survived disasters, wars, and cosmic events that would have destroyed lesser civilizations. They had grown stronger each time, learning, adapting, evolving. Kthar whispered. They've hidden this. They've always had it. But why? Why wait? Elena's voice came through the communicator, calm but firm. Because the galaxy was not ready. They assumed humans were weak. They assumed they could be ignored. They were wrong. Rylith clenched her fists. The message was clear. Humans had waited patiently while the Union expanded, conquering worlds, bending species to their will. And now, the humans were choosing the moment to reveal themselves. Suddenly, the human ship accelerated, not with engines, but with a shift that bent space around it. One moment it was at the edge of their sensors, the next it appeared directly in the center of the fleet's formation. Union ships swerved violently, trying to maintain distance, but the human vessel seemed untouchable, like a ghost in the void. Elena's voice returned, softer this time. You wanted to see what humanity was hiding. Now you have. Think carefully about your next move. The fleet hesitated. Every officer, every pilot, felt the unspoken warning. This was not just about firepower. This was about intelligence, strategy, and patience honed over centuries. The humans were not just strong, they were inevitable. And somewhere deep in space, as stars shimmered and fleets quivered, the first real understanding dawned. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. It had assumed humans were simple, fragile, and irrelevant. It had assumed wrong. The Union fleet hovered, frozen in awe and fear. They had never faced a civilization like this. Humans had revealed just a fraction of their power, and it was enough to make seasoned commanders doubt everything they knew about the galaxy. Commander Rylitha's hands tightened around the console, her mind racing. She needed answers, but she also knew the answers might be terrifying. On the human ship, Captain Elena Voss watched through the viewports. The stars outside glimmered, but there was no fear in her gaze, only calm calculation. Humanity had waited for this moment for centuries. They had grown, hidden, and learned while the galaxy focused on itself. And now, it was time to remind the universe what humans were capable of. The Union attempted communication again, sending formal signals and warnings. The human ship responded, but not with words. Instead, it projected holographic images across the fleet screens, showing human history in flashes. Great wars, technological leaps, planetary colonization, and survival against threats that no other species had endured. The fleet saw humanity rise from primitive beginnings, struggling on a fragile world, to masters of technology and strategy. Rylith whispered, almost to herself, "They've survived everything. Everything." Suddenly, the human vessel moved again, faster than any Union ship could track. One moment it was in the outer rim of the fleet, and the next, it appeared at the center, twisting reality like a ribbon. Union ships tried to react, but every maneuver was anticipated, countered before it could happen. It was as if the human ship knew their thoughts, predicting every action. Kthares' eyes widened. "Commander, they are thinking ahead. Not just technology, their minds. They are faster than our simulations can handle. Faster than any strategy algorithm we have." Rylith swallowed hard. The implications were staggering. Humans were not just strong, they were smarter, faster, more adaptable. Every assumption about their weakness was shattered. The fleet, which had faced countless alien threats, was suddenly uncertain against a single human ship. On board Elena's ship, she activated the next stage of their plan. Small probes, almost invisible, spread into the fleet. They didn't attack, they scanned, observed, and learned. Every system, every weapon, every formation was recorded. The humans needed knowledge more than destruction at this stage. They had waited centuries for the right moment. They would strike when it mattered, not out of fear or pride. One Union pilot, trembling, muttered, "They're studying us. They're learning faster than we can react." "Yes," Rylith said quietly, though her voice carried authority. "And we're in their hands, whether we admit it or not." The human ship pulsed again, this time sending a wave that disrupted shields on several Union ships. No one was injured, but the sudden loss of protection caused panic. Ships drifted, engines struggling to stabilize. The humans were not attacking with weapons. They were attacking with control, precision, and understanding. Elena observed the chaos silently, noting every reaction, every hesitation. Humanity had survived because they adapted faster than any enemy. They thrived because they learned, calculated, and waited for the perfect moment. And now, They had the galaxy's attention. Rylith's mind raced. We must respond. We can't let them dictate every move. She issued careful orders. Union ships adjusted formation, attempted coordinated maneuvers, but every action was predicted and neutralized before it began. It was not brute force, it was patience, intelligence, and skill beyond comprehension. The fleet realized something terrifying. Humans were not just a species, they were a force of nature. They did not need massive fleets or destructive weapons to dominate. They needed control, strategy, and time. And they had all three in abundance. Elena's calm voice filled the human ship. They must understand. Humanity is not a threat to be crushed, but a power to be respected. Those who underestimate us will learn the hard way. In the Union fleet, doubt spread. Officers whispered among themselves. Commanders hesitated. Never before had they faced an enemy who could bend reality, control perception, and anticipate every tactic. Fear replaced confidence, and uncertainty replaced orders. Then, a new wave emanated from the human ship, subtle but undeniable. It was a warning and a message. Humanity was patient, but decisive. The fleet felt it, deep in their bones, a quiet, unstoppable force that could strike with precision at any moment. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak. The galaxy had assumed they were small, insignificant, irrelevant. And now, the galaxy was learning the truth. Humans were nothing short of extraordinary. And somewhere, deep within the heart of space, the first real question began to take shape among the Union commanders. What else had humanity been hiding, and how far were they willing to go to show it? Elena smiled faintly, knowing that the galaxy's answer would come slowly, painfully, and inevitably. Humans had been underestimated for too long. The time of waiting was over. White heavy checkmark word count, 830 words. The silence in the Union fleet was heavy, broken only by the hum of failing shields and the nervous chatter of officers. Commander Rylith tried to maintain control, but each passing moment made it harder. The human ship moved with uncanny precision, never fully attacking, yet never fully retreating. It was a predator circling its prey, and the fleet had just realized that they were the prey. On board Elena Voss' ship, the crew worked in perfect harmony. Every movement was deliberate, every scan precise. The humans did not rush. They did not panic. They had prepared for centuries for this exact moment, and they would not make mistakes. The galaxy had been arrogant, and arrogance was dangerous. Rylith issued cautious orders. Form defensive perimeter Delta. Activate countermeasures and maintain visual tracking at all costs. Her voice was steady, but inside, she knew the fleet was being toyed with. No technology, no maneuver, no strategy could match the humans' subtle control of space and perception. Then, the first human action came, quiet, almost unnoticed. Tiny bursts of energy radiated from the ship, striking isolated Union vessels. Shields flickered and engines stuttered, but no one was destroyed. The humans were not yet killing, they were testing, probing weaknesses, demonstrating control without chaos. Kthares' tentacles twitched nervously. They are probing, but not with weapons. They are measuring fear, hesitation, coordination. They are analyzing our every response. Rylith nodded. She realized the truth. It's a test. They're not here to destroy, at least, not yet. They want to see how we react. Elena observed the fleet's reactions silently. The humans had always been underestimated. They survived because they adapted faster than any enemy. Now, the galaxy had made the same mistake. But Elena knew they could not reveal everything. Humans needed restraint, patience, and timing. One wrong move, and the galaxy might collapse under panic. But they would learn, eventually. The human ship accelerated, slipping between Union vessels with impossible speed. No engines, no thrusters, just control over space itself. Sensors tried to track it, but it was always one step ahead. Union ships fired weapons in response, plasma bolts cutting through the void, but they passed through ghost-like illusions. The humans were everywhere, and yet nowhere. A Union captain shouted, "We can't hit them. Our weapons. They're useless." Rylatha's voice was calm, but her heart pounded. "Maintain formation. Observe. Do not panic. We must learn as they learn. We cannot act rashly." The human ship paused suddenly in the fleet's midst. Then, a projection appeared, holographic, ethereal, showing not destruction, but possibility. Humans on Earth, colonizing other worlds, exploring the stars, thriving where no one believed they could. Cities shone under distant suns, oceans teemed with life, and forests stretched across continents, unbroken by war or neglect. But the projection was more than just history. It was a message. Humans were capable, prepared, and unafraid. The fleet's morale wavered. Union officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had underestimated humans for centuries. The humans were not just survivors, they were a civilization that learned faster, adapted better, and evolved beyond the galaxy's expectations. Elena's voice echoed in the ship. "They will see. They will understand. They assumed we were weak. They assumed we could be controlled. They assumed everything." The first confrontation escalated. The human ship extended tendrils of energy, subtle but potent, disabling a few Union vessels without harming crews. It was a warning, a demonstration of capability. The humans could strike, but they chose precision over destruction. Every officer knew the message: underestimate humanity at your own risk. Rylatha's hands clenched the console. "Prepare for full engagement. Defensive protocols Delta and Gamma. If they attack fully, we will respond." But even as she said it, she doubted whether the fleet could match the humans. Every tactic was anticipated, every weakness exposed. The humans were not just strong, they were inevitable. Elena observed silently, letting the fleet feel the weight of reality. This was not a battle yet, but a demonstration of control, intelligence, and patience. The humans were masters of strategy, adapting faster than any simulation the Union had. And the first true confrontation had begun, not with destruction, but with understanding. In the void, the fleet shivered. Every officer sensed it deep inside. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak, insignificant, and primitive. That assumption had been wrong. Humanity was not only strong, it was extraordinary. And now, the first real chapter of their reckoning had begun. Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Union would learn, slowly but inevitably. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. The time of patience was ending, and the galaxy was about to witness the full truth. The Union fleet trembled under the weight of uncertainty. Ships that had once moved with confidence now faltered, unsure how to face a single human vessel that could anticipate every maneuver. Commander Rylatha's mind raced, searching for a solution. Every simulation, every strategy, seemed useless against the humans' unpredictability. On board Elena Voss' ship, the crew worked with silent efficiency. They had learned patience, the greatest weapon of all. Humans had endured centuries of wars, disasters, and invasions. They had survived everything the galaxy had thrown at them. Now, the humans were in control, and they would show the Union that waiting, observing, and understanding could be more powerful than 1,000 fleets. The first strategic move came without warning. The human ship extended subtle fields of energy, surrounding several Union vessels. It was not an attack in the conventional sense. The ships were not destroyed, but systems began to malfunction, shields flickering and engines stuttering. Panic threatened to rise, but Rylath kept her voice steady. "Focus on diagnostics," she ordered. "We will stabilize the affected ships. No rash actions." But even as her crew worked, the human ship projected another holographic sequence. This time, it showed Earth's defenses, human colonies, and advanced weaponry hidden across distant star systems. But there was more: glimpses of human fleets capable of interstellar strikes, defenses that could protect entire planets, and technology that bent the known laws of physics. The message was clear: humans had power the galaxy could barely comprehend, and they had kept it hidden for centuries. Kthar's voice trembled. "Commander, They've prepared for everything. Every possible attack, every strategy. They've already countered it before we even think of it. Rylatha's hands tightened on the console. The fleet had always prided itself on superiority, on mastery of the stars. And now, that belief was shattered. Humans were not just strong, they were smarter, faster, and infinitely adaptable. Every decision the fleet made could be anticipated, every weakness exposed. Then Elena acted. The human ship split its energy field, creating a precise, controlled disruption around key vessels in the fleet. Communications flickered, engines hiccuped, and shields wavered. It was a demonstration of restraint and control, a warning, but not a declaration of war. "Notice the precision," Elena said quietly to her crew. "We do not destroy what we can observe. We do not attack what we can learn from. But they will understand our power." In the Union fleet, officers whispered nervously. Ships that had faced countless alien civilizations were struggling to keep formation. Fear and hesitation spread like wildfire. The humans were not just powerful, they were inevitable. Rylath realized the critical mistake. The Union had assumed humans were primitive, insignificant, and weak. They were none of those things. Humanity had survived, hidden, and evolved in ways the galaxy could not imagine. And now, they were teaching the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. A Union admiral tried to rally his ships. "Fire everything. Hit them with everything we have." Rylath shook her head. "No. Stop. Our weapons are irrelevant. Any attack now will only reveal our weaknesses. Observe. Learn. That is our only chance." Elena's ship moved with impossible grace, sliding through the fleet as if space itself bent to its will. Union sensors could not track it accurately. Weapons passed harmlessly through the distortions it created. And all the while, the humans continued their demonstration. Precision, patience, and power, showing the fleet exactly what it was up against. Then, a subtle wave of energy pulsed outward. It disrupted not only technology but perception. Union officers saw fleeting visions of humanity's resilience, entire planets rebuilt after wars, fleets rising from ruins, civilizations surviving cosmic disasters. It was a reminder, humans did not just survive, they thrived. Kthar gasped. "They're teaching us, showing us, what we assumed we knew is wrong. Everything we believed about humans is false." Rylath nodded grimly. "And we are paying the price for underestimating them. Every hesitation costs us control." Elena watched silently, knowing that the galaxy would understand the full truth only slowly. The humans had power, intelligence, and patience. The Union had assumed they could be ignored, subdued, or controlled. They had been wrong. Humanity was not just a species, it was a force, patient, unstoppable, and inevitable. The first real challenge had begun. The humans had demonstrated restraint, strategy, and precision, and the Union fleet was left to confront a reality it had never imagined. The galaxy had gone too far, assuming humanity was weak, and now, it would learn the consequences of that mistake. Elena allowed herself a faint smile. The demonstration was only the beginning. Humanity had waited long enough. And when the time came, the galaxy would witness the full extent of what humans were capable of. The void around the Union fleet seemed to thrum with tension. Every ship was alert, every officer on edge. Commander Rylath could feel it in her bones. The humans were no longer testing. They were about to show what they were truly capable of. On board Elena Voss' ship, the crew worked with perfect synchronization. Their calm contrasted sharply with the chaos slowly creeping through the Union fleet. Humans had waited centuries for this moment. They had survived every threat, every disaster, every war. And now, the galaxy would finally understand why they had been underestimated for so long. Elena stood at the command console, eyes fixed on the Union formation. She spoke softly, almost to herself. "Let them see. Let them feel what it means to underestimate humanity." Suddenly, the human ship emitted a massive pulse of energy. It was not destructive in the usual sense, but it disrupted every system in the fleet. Engines faltered, weapons misfired, shields flickered, and communications broke down entirely. Union officers struggled to maintain control, panic threatening to spread. Rylatha's voice cut through the chaos, steady but urgent. Stabilize engines. Reboot shields. Maintain formation at all costs. But she knew that mere orders would not be enough. The humans were not fighting conventionally. They were reshaping reality itself. The first real demonstration began. The human ship split into multiple projections, each one appearing in a different location simultaneously. Union sensors tried to lock onto them, but every shot passed harmlessly through illusions. It was impossible to know where the real ship was. Kthar's tentacles twitched violently. "Commander, they are everywhere and nowhere at once. Our systems cannot track them. It is impossible." Rylath swallowed hard. "Then we adapt. We observe. Focus on survival, not attack." From the human ship, Elena initiated the next phase. Tiny drones, almost invisible, shot through the fleet. They didn't destroy, they observed, recorded, and learned. Each one subtly manipulated energy fields, testing shields and engines. Union ships faltered under the pressure, systems failing in ways no one could immediately explain. The fleet's panic grew. Pilots whispered to each other, questioning every assumption they had made about humans. They had assumed humans were primitive, weak, and unprepared. Now, every officer realized the truth. Humans were stronger, smarter, and more adaptable than any civilization the galaxy had ever known. Rylath tried to regain control. "All ships, focus on coordination. Use manual overrides if necessary. Observe patterns, predict their movements." But prediction was nearly impossible. The human ship seemed to anticipate every decision before it was made. It bent space subtly, shifted reality, and moved faster than sensors could track. Every Union attack was countered before it could begin. Then, the humans made their statement. The ship unleashed a controlled gravitational wave that enveloped the fleet. No one was destroyed, but ships were forced out of formation, drifting helplessly. The Union fleet realized that humans could dominate not by brute force, but by mastery of physics itself. Elena's voice echoed across the human ship. "This is only a demonstration. Every system, every vessel, every decision you make is being observed. Humanity survives because we learn. And we learn faster than any adversary." Union officers whispered among themselves, fear evident in their voices. Some questioned whether they could survive a prolonged encounter. Others understood, for the first time, the consequences of underestimating humanity. The humans were not just a species, they were a force of nature, patient, intelligent, and unstoppable. Rylatha's mind raced. "We cannot continue like this. Every attempt to engage them conventionally fails. We must adapt, or be destroyed." She realized the first hard truth: the Union had been arrogant, and arrogance could no longer be tolerated. The human ship, calm and unyielding, hovered in the void. Every move it made was precise, every action calculated. It was not merely a battle, it was a lesson, a statement that humanity had evolved far beyond what the galaxy imagined. And as the first real confrontation reached its climax, the Union fleet understood something terrifying. Humans did not fight like others. They survived, they adapted, they conquered situations without fighting in the conventional sense. And now, the galaxy was witnessing the first undeniable proof that humanity had been hiding extraordinary power, patience, and intelligence all along. Elena allowed herself a faint smile. The demonstration was over. For now. The galaxy had been warned. The Union had seen a fraction of what humans were capable of. And when the time came to act fully, no one would doubt humanity again. The void had grown silent, but it was not peace, it was anticipation. The Union fleet, battered in confidence and shaken to its core, hovered like prey before a predator. Commander Rylatha's hands trembled over the console. Every officer knew it, Humans had been underestimated for centuries, and now, the full truth was about to be revealed. On board Elena Voss' ship, the crew moved with calm precision. Every sensor, every console, every observation had led to this moment. Humanity had waited for centuries to demonstrate not only strength, but strategy, patience, and resilience. And now, the galaxy would finally understand what had been hidden. Elena stepped forward, her eyes scanning the fleet. "It's time," she said softly. "They must see everything. The truth cannot be ignored any longer." The human ship pulsed with energy, and the void itself seemed to bend around it. The multiple projections returned, flickering and multiplying until it was impossible to know where the real ship existed. Union sensors scrambled, weapons misfiring, engines stalling. The humans were not just controlling the battle, they were controlling reality itself. Rylatha's voice was steady, but inside, fear churned. "All ships, brace for, I don't know what. Maintain formation and observe." Then came the full demonstration. A wave of energy emanated from the human ship, encompassing the entire fleet. It was precise, measured, and overwhelming. Union shields flickered violently, energy systems overloaded, and communications cut out entirely. And then, for the first time, the humans revealed their power beyond mere technology. A subtle but undeniable manipulation of gravity and spacetime itself. Ships drifted helplessly, formations broken, yet no one was harmed. Elena watched, calm and patient. Humanity did not need destruction to assert dominance. Every move, every pulse of energy, was a lesson. Humans survived, adapted, and thrived by mastering forces others only feared. And now, the galaxy was learning the price of underestimation. The Union fleet was paralyzed. Kthar whispered, trembling, They could destroy us all in a single moment, but they are not. They are showing us." Rylath realized the truth. Humans were not here to conquer blindly, they were here to demonstrate. To warn. To prove that the galaxy's assumptions about humanity were false. Humans had endured, hidden, and evolved while others grew complacent. And now, they were unstoppable. Elena activated the final phase. Holographic projections expanded, displaying the full scope of human achievement. Colonies thriving across star systems, advanced fleets capable of interstellar defense and offense, technologies that bent the known laws of physics, and a civilization resilient to disasters that would have ended weaker species. Every Union officer could see it. Humanity was not just strong, they were extraordinary. A silence fell across the fleet. Fear, awe, and understanding mingled in every heart. The galaxy had assumed humans were insignificant, fragile, and weak. That assumption had been shattered. Humans had waited for this moment, and the lesson was clear. Underestimate humanity at your peril. Rylath swallowed hard. We were wrong," she admitted aloud. "Every assumption we made, false. Everything we thought we knew about humans, wrong." The human ship glided silently through the fleet, energy pulses rippling outward like a heartbeat. Elena spoke softly, but her words carried weight across space and mind alike. "The galaxy has assumed weakness. You have assumed control. But humanity survives because we learn, adapt, and endure. And now, the truth is clear, we are not to be underestimated." Union officers, commanders, and pilots alike stared at the ship in stunned silence. Humanity had not attacked in anger, had not sought conquest, but had demonstrated power, intelligence, and patience beyond comprehension. The lesson was clear: humans were not just another species, they were an inevitable force in the galaxy. For the first time, the Galactic Union understood that the galaxy's assumptions had been dangerous. Every decision, every conquest, every act of arrogance had been made under the belief that humans were weak. They were not. Humanity had survived, hidden, and evolved. And now, they had arrived. Elena allowed herself a faint, satisfied smile. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of. The demonstration was complete. The lesson was clear. And from this moment on, no one would ever doubt humanity again. The human ship pulsed one final time, then glided silently into the shadows of space, leaving the Union fleet to contemplate the truth. A single thought spread across every officer's mind: the galaxy had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would never be repeated. In the void, stars shimmered as if bowing to a new reality. Humanity had been revealed, not through conquest, but through intelligence, patience, and resilience. The galaxy had gone too far, and now, it had witnessed what humanity had been hiding all along.